How many times have you put yourself last? Given too much, adapted too much, lost yourself trying to fit into lives that were never yours to begin with? If that sounds familiar, take a deep breath. You're not alone. The truth is, a lot of people spend their lives trying to be everything for everyone, and forget to be something for themselves. But that comes at a cost. A high one. Stoicism comes in like a gentle, but necessary, slap. Not to harden you, but to wake you up. Because as long as you outsource your worth, wait for approval, or let others decide where you belong, you'll keep living in survival mode. And you weren't born for that. You were born to take the lead in your own story. In this video, you'll learn timeless lessons, tested over centuries by names like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, that are more relevant now than ever. This isn't about selling you a magic formula. It's about giving you back something you may have forgotten: the right to make yourself a priority. Each part of this content will guide you like an old letter, filled with maps of clarity and compasses of wisdom. It'll challenge you, provoke you, make you uncomfortable. But it will also set you free. And if you apply what you'll learn here, something will shift. Watching alone won't be enough, this requires action. So grab a pen and paper, save this video, share it with someone who needs it. But most importantly, be present. You don't need more advice. You need a decision. The decision to finally start living for yourself. So, are you ready to take this journey together? Because after today, you won't leave yourself behind anymore. Have you noticed how easy it is to live trying to please others and forget yourself? We go on autopilot, saying yes when we want to say no, accepting things that hurt us just to keep up the appearance of being a good person. But eventually, that takes a toll on your energy, your identity, your peace. That's where Stoicism steps in with a clear message. You need to come back to yourself. The ancient Stoics didn't see this as selfishness. Quite the opposite, they called it practical wisdom. Taking care of your mind and setting boundaries was, for them, a sign of emotional maturity. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, wrote daily to remind himself that inner peace was more valuable than any throne. And if he needed that reminder, who are we to ignore it? Start treating yourself like a priority. It doesn't have to be drastic. It can be saying no to a draining commitment, turning off your phone for an hour just to hear your own thoughts. Small daily acts of reconnection build a life of self-respect. Those who listen to themselves, understand themselves. And those who understand themselves, become stronger. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us, others are not." When you live trying to control how others see you, you're placing your life in the wrong hands. But when you shift your focus to what's within your control, your thoughts, choices, actions, the game changes. The key to control lies in your mind, not in others' reactions. Make a commitment to yourself today. Stop abandoning yourself. Ask yourself before any decision, does this honor me or drain me? If it's the latter, you already know the answer. Stoicism isn't a pretty speech, it's daily practice. Especially when the world around you keeps trying to pull you back into autopilot. And here's the best part. Every step you take in this direction builds a new internal pattern. One where you choose yourself, value yourself, and put yourself at the center of your life. Without guilt, without excuses. And this is just the beginning. Because for real transformation to happen, you need to know your worth before the world defines it for you. If you don't know who you are, the world will try to tell you. And worse, it'll base that on labels, comparisons, and expectations that have nothing to do with your essence. That's why self-knowledge isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, you become a reflection of your environment instead of the author of your journey. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He wrote in his journals every single day, not for others, but for himself. It was his way of affirming what he believed, reviewing his values, and reminding himself of what truly mattered. That simple but powerful practice is a path back to your own truth. Don't underestimate the power of talking to yourself every day. Here's a practical tip. Create a personal value statement. Write, in your own words, what you stand for, what's non-negotiable in your life, and what you're building. It might feel silly at first, but this exercise in self-affirmation shifts your mindset. And over time, even how you show up to the world. When you're clear on who you are, others' opinions matter less. You no longer need external validation, because you've already validated what truly matters inside. This emotional security is what the Stoics called inner fortress. It's not pride, it's solidity. And once you build it, no one can tear it down. Value is not something to be negotiated. It's something to be lived. And the moment you decide to stay true to yourself, even the universe starts treating you differently. You attract healthier relationships, make lighter decisions, and distance yourself from what doesn't honor your journey. Those who know their worth don't beg for presence, attention, or respect. And to keep that sense of worth strong, you'll need to master one small, powerful word, no. Because without it, you get lost in all the yes you never meant to say. How many times have you said yes just to avoid conflict? Just to please, to keep the peace, to not disappoint? But every forced yes is a silent no screamed at yourself. And your body feels it, your mind drains, your heart gets heavy. At some point, the emotional exhaustion doesn't come from what you do, but from how much you erase yourself in the process. Saying no is liberating. But more than that, it's an act of self-love and emotional courage. Stoicism teaches us not to live according to others' expectations. Epictetus was clear, you must act according to your principles, not someone else's whims. And sometimes, that will require a firm no, even when it's uncomfortable. Try this exercise. Make a list of the situations, people, or areas of your life where you struggle to say no. Look for patterns. Are you trying to please? Avoiding rejection? Feeling guilty? Identifying these roots is the first step to reclaiming your emotional autonomy. Saying no doesn't have to be harsh. You can say it firmly, but kindly. Something like, thanks, but I can't right now, or, that's not aligned with what I need at the moment. The important thing is to be clear and honest, with others, yes. But especially with yourself. Because every time you respect yourself, you grow stronger. Remember, your no is sacred. It protects your time, your energy, your sanity. It creates space so you can say yes to what really matters. Say yes to everything, and you burn out. Learn to say no, and you preserve yourself. Preserve yourself, and you live lighter, clearer, and more authentically. And speaking of preserving, there's something even more sacred than your no, your time. It's your most precious asset. And your next step is learning how to treat it as sacred. Most people treat time like it's infinite. They accept invites they don't want, stay stuck in pointless meetings, reply to messages all day like they're available 24/7. But time doesn't come back. And if you don't learn to protect it like a temple, you'll end up living at the altar of hurry and exhaustion. Stoics saw time as sacred. Seneca, in his letter on the shortness of life, said it's not that life is short. It's that we waste too much of it. So the question is, what are you spending your days on? On what builds you, or what drains you? That filter needs to be applied daily, with courage. Set inviolable times for yourself. It can be a phone-free Sunday morning, an hour a day just for reading, or a weekly night off to rest. These time blocks are protective walls around your peace. When you treat yourself as a priority in your calendar, the world starts doing the same. Use the 3 Stoic filters to manage your commitments. Urgency. Importance. Delegation. Ask yourself, does this really need to be done now? Is it essential to my growth? Do I need to do it, or can I delegate? This kind of triage brings clarity and frees up mental space for what truly matters. Learn to become less accessible. No, it's not being cold. It's emotional wisdom. Replying to everyone all the time, being available for everything, is a recipe for burnout. You're not Wi-Fi. You're human. And you need pauses, silence, direction. Don't be afraid to disappear a little, so you can find yourself again. Because when you protect your time, you protect your soul. And that prepares you for one of the most powerful lessons in Stoicism. Never outsource your emotional well-being. Some people live as if their happiness depends on others. Waiting for their partner to change, their friend to understand, the world to acknowledge them. But the more you place your well-being in external hands, the more unstable your peace becomes. Stoicism makes that very clear. True balance comes from within. The Stoic pause can be a game changer. When something upsets you, before reacting, breathe. Count to 3. Ask yourself, is this within my control? Will this reaction serve me, or sabotage me? That small space between stimulus and response can completely transform your relationship with your emotions. You're not responsible for what others do, but you're 100% responsible for how you choose to respond. Strengthening your inner world means building a solid foundation that doesn't shake with every storm. It takes practice, yes. But in that consistency lies emotional freedom. A great tool is keeping an emotional journal. Write down what shook you during the day, how you responded, and what you'd do differently next time. This gives you perspective, and helps you notice patterns. Over time, you move from being reactive to being aware. And that changes everything. You stop being a hostage to your circumstances. Affirm daily. My peace doesn't depend on anyone. Say it like a mantra. Write it on your mirror. Set it as your wallpaper. Repeat it until it becomes a truth inside you. That constant self-affirmation is one of the secrets to emotional autonomy. And once you reach that point, the world may try to shake you, but it just can't anymore. That's when another powerful lesson comes in, reduce to rise. Because sometimes, fewer connections, fewer obligations, and fewer distractions are exactly what you need to feel more whole. We live in a culture that glorifies excess, more tasks, more contacts, more achievements. But what if the secret to peace isn't in having more, but in needing less? The Stoics knew this long before it became a trend. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." And that truth is gold. Start by looking at your schedule. How many of your commitments actually feel good? How many were accepted out of obligation? Cutting what's unnecessary creates room for what's essential. Fewer tasks, more presence. Less noise, more clarity. And this applies to relationships, habits, even objects, anything that takes up space without feeding your soul. Apply the rule of less, but better. Instead of doing 10 things poorly, choose 3 that truly matter, and do them with excellence. This goes for your projects, your conversations, even your thoughts. Your mind will thank you when you stop cluttering it with what no longer serves you. Minimalism isn't emptiness, it's focus. Create intentional silence. 5 minutes of deep breathing. A walk without your phone. A slow, unrushed shower. These moments aren't just pauses, they're mental resets. It's in those spaces that new ideas are born, tension dissolves, and your mind finally rests. Believe me, silence feels scary at first. But soon you'll see, it's not a void, it's a preparation. When you clear the ground, you make space to build something new with more purpose. And that only happens when you let go of what no longer makes sense. And here's what silence teaches you. That you can be your own best company. Which brings us to one final insight. Turning solitude into your greatest ally. Most people run from solitude like it's a punishment. But what if it's actually a gift? The Stoics saw solitude as a place of power, not weakness. Marcus Aurelius spent long periods in silent reflection, even surrounded by an empire. Because he knew, if you're at peace with yourself, you're ready for any crowd. Solitude reveals who you truly are. Without the external voices. Without the noise. Without needing to prove anything to anyone. It's in silence that you hear your essence, face your fears, and uncover what you really need. Yes, it might hurt at first. But it can heal like nothing else. A powerful practice is to write to yourself every day. Keep a simple notebook where you speak with your mind. Ask, what am I feeling? What's asking for my attention? What do I need to let go of? This Stoic writing isn't about perfect grammar. It's about mental clarity. A release that organizes your soul. Solitude is also the best place to practice detachment. When you realize you don't need constant company to feel whole. You start choosing relationships out of alignment, not out of need. That changes everything. You stop settling for emotional crumbs just to avoid being alone. You become enough for yourself, and that's freedom. Try being alone in symbolic moments. Drink a coffee in silence, take a walk with no destination, watch a sunset without rushing. In those moments, your soul breathes. And you realize, you're not without anyone. You're with someone who matters deeply, yourself. Because, in the end, those who master their own silence, master their inner world. And when your inner world is at peace, nothing external can shake you. Now's the time to look inward and ask the one question that changes everything. How much longer are you going to let others run your life? What else needs to happen before you realize that your peace, your time, and your essence are too precious to trade for crumbs? Maybe today is the first time you truly choose yourself. Stoic teachings aren't dusty old theories. They're practical tools for anyone who wants to live with more clarity, intention, and lightness. But none of it will work unless you make a real choice. To act. To set boundaries. To create silence. To protect your soul like something sacred. So ask yourself, what are you going to change today? What no needs to be said? What distractions need to go? When, in your day, will you reconnect with who you are, without noise, without masks, without performance? If this video touched you, challenged you, or awakened something inside you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We're walking this path together, with truth, depth, and courage. Because if Stoicism teaches us anything, it's that you can lose a lot in life, but never the chance to become who you really are. Your interaction strengthens this space. And it might be the very spark someone else needs to wake up to. The journey doesn't end here. It's only just begun.